This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another one of our speaker series. Today is June 9th, and we are here with Melissa Kaye, who is a manager of the Joshua Kaye Foundation, which remembers 8-year-old Joshua, who died July 7th in 2014 after a 13-day battle with E. coli. A compassionate, engaging person who loved to get involved and help whenever he saw an opportunity. Joshua was a caring friend and a brother and a son, and just a great all-around kid who would like to do amazing things. The JKF focuses its energy and emotion into doing good things for the community in ways that Joshua would have. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here's Melissa. Thanks for coming in and doing this.
Thanks for having me. So I am happy to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about today, but just a quick background. Josh was my son, is my son. He passed away almost 6 years ago in July of an E. coli infection. So when you're learning about food safety and cooking and all of that, it's really important to focus on remembering that that's a real thing. But when he was, actually he had just signed up for Cub Scouts a couple of weeks before he got sick. And so we do feel like a little connection there to Boy Scouts and the scouting in general. He was definitely cut out to be a scout, in every way. Really loved learning new things and helping people and getting involved in the community, getting outside, and doing all the things that you think of when you think of scouting. So he used to drive us crazy with pranks and all of the ways that, I'm sure you all are driving your parents crazy. But at the same time, he was this, everyone called him an old soul. If he saw a problem, he wanted to fix it. He was the kind of person who just couldn't walk by, somebody being picked on or somebody having dropped something on the floor or, seeing homeless people on the side of the road, things like that. He could not do something about those things. So when he was 6, that year, a whole bunch of dolphins stranded on Cape Cod, like more than usual. We always get a few strandings, but it was really an astronomical number. And he was 6, and he was this tiny, tiny little 6-year-old. And he was like, "Mom, we have to do something." And I just looked at him. I was like, "Well, we're 2 away from Wellfleet, and it's freezing cold, and I don't even think they make wetsuits small enough for you. Like, I don't think we can help." And it killed me to say that to my son because I tend to be someone who wants to help as well. So he was like, "Mommy, you have to call somebody, like find out who's helping." So we called IFA, International Fund for Animal Welfare, who happens to have their world headquarters here in Massachusetts. And they were the people on the ground, helping those dolphins. So I called up and I was like, I don't even know where to start. My 6-year-old wants to help. Like, what do we do? And so we asked for a list of what they needed. And when Josh saw the list and the cost for everything that was needed, he insisted that we have a fundraiser. And so I said, "Okay, well, I'm busy. I can help you, but if you want to do this, you have to do this." So he did. He put together a fundraiser at 6 years old at Dave and Buster's and raised over $1,200 for us. And so when we lost Josh, we knew, of course, we lost a son, we lost somebody who we loved so much, and you can't ever fix that. But to try to mend the hole in our heart a little bit and the hole in our lives and in the community, we knew that we would start a foundation in his memory. And so we started Joshua Kaye Foundation almost immediately after we lost him, and started doing community service projects, big and small. So that's what we do. So we've done things like we've installed greenhouses at local schools so that kids can learn hands-on. It's neat to learn about plants when you're a kid, but it's way better, as the scouts know, to learn hands-on and to do, to learn through doing. So we've installed greenhouses at Meeting House Montessori in Braintree and Edgartown School, Martha's Vineyard. We've done huge collections and distributions of school supplies, books to homeless shelters, party supplies, and birthday presents for kids. We partnered up with Birthday Wishes here in Massachusetts to distribute those for kids who are living in shelters, so that they don't have to miss something as little, or we don't really think about it as a big deal, those of us who are living in secure situations. But to be able to have a birthday party and celebrate your birthday, even when your family's going through a tough time. That's always a favorite among our volunteers, is to do drives and distribution in that way. Toiletries and necessities to folks who are living with homelessness or battling drug addiction, cold weather gear. And another fun thing that we did last year was a bottle cap drive. So we got I can't even tell you how many, dozens and dozens of businesses and companies in Massachusetts and beyond to collect plastic bottle caps of all kinds. And this was something that had a number of functions. It raised awareness for just the amount of trash that we make, and the things that can and cannot be recycled in different communities. Oftentimes those plastic bottle caps cannot be recycled. And so we were collecting those to, one, raise awareness of what happens when you throw that plastic in the trash and how that can end up in the ocean and cause some trouble. Inspire people to reduce their plastic usage, single-use plastics. And the bottle caps were, and actually are in the process of being finished up, made into this big recycled art piece. And so we had this really great marine wildlife photographer, Ben Hicks, grant us use of one of his images, which is this huge sea turtle just kind of like floating in a gorgeous blue ocean. And so we're remaking that image with bottle caps and
Wow.
donating to the hospital. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, and there's a lot of people involved, and there have been a lot of hiccups because of timing and then COVID-19. So one of the groups that was helping us finish it up was actually an art club or an art department at Cats Academy in Braintree, which is actually an international school. And so when COVID-19 hit us, a lot of those kids were first kind of quarantined and stuck here, and then they shut the school down. A lot of those kids are spread out across the world and mostly in Asia right now. So that is that's paused, but that was kind of neat. And then the leftover bottle caps are actually being recycled into park benches and picnic tables to be distributed in the community. So
Wow.
that's a wide variety of what we do. And we're always looking for new projects and new partners or projects. So my day-to-day operations, I'm working on like the functional stuff to get some of these things done, but I'm also always interacting and networking and meeting new people and, trying to get a line on what other projects are needed and who can help with those things. So I do a lot of that. Our
And
big
just when you think you that sounded like so much work, and then I also forgot to mention at the beginning that you also co-founded Mommy Business. Could you talk a little bit about that as well? It seems like you were really, really busy.
when we lost Josh, I did put a lot of other stuff on hold. So I'm a co-founder for a radio show and a blog called Mommy Business, where my partner Jen Orman and I write about all kinds of things, in life, just from our perspective as business owners. I also own a small cleaning company in Massachusetts, which again, we've kind of put on hold, especially with COVID-19. But before that, we really, didn't put any focus on growing it once we lost Josh, because we wanted all of our energy to go into the foundation. But yeah, we have a radio show on 95.9 FM, WATD, and that was online for a while. And we're not sure if we're going to go back live on the air or transition over to podcasts. But yeah, we tend to be busy and like to do a bunch of different things. So our big goal for the foundation, although we will always continue to do community service projects, especially where we can partner with young people to make their projects happen. But our big goal is to open a marine wildlife rehabilitation center and education center on the South Shore. So hopefully you all can come and visit that in the coming years.
That'd be wonderful. Who approaches you or comes up with things for you to do for projects? Like, do you advertise that you're looking for projects, or do people just come up to you and say, hey, this would be a good project?
Yeah, so we have a great advisory board, and all of Josh's best friends and classmates are actually our junior board. And so they are, he went to like a mixed age classroom style school. So all of his friends now are, he would be turning 15 in August. His friends, including his friends' little siblings, are anywhere from like 12 to 20 right now. And my oldest daughter is about to be 22. My youngest is 11. So we've got a lot of young people involved who, you know, and we really like to focus on what they are interested in, what issues they see, and what they would like to help with. But we also have a lot of connections in the community. We're lucky to be surrounded by amazing friends who are tapped into all kinds of things. So one of our good friends is the executive director of a local food pantry. We've got folks involved in ecology projects and things like that, scouts, all kinds of, you know, really, really great organizations. And we talk a lot. Clearly, I can chat. So I talk to a lot of people. I love connecting with people and hearing ideas. And we also have a really close relationship with Massachusetts Youth Leadership Foundation and the MassStar Conference, Massachusetts Students Accepting Responsibility. So we offer a grant every year through MassStar for the attendees of their 3-day conference. One of the things they're encouraged to do is design a community service project and make it happen. And there's a lot of great, you know, mentorship that happens there. So we help with that. But we're always looking for things like that. So we have a big festival every year, which unfortunately we didn't get to have this year. And it's called Family Fun Festival. And it's a day that is just like a huge party. So old school carnival games, entertainment, dancers, music, all kinds of stuff, vendors. And we do, you know, we put the word out there as well. So we get a lot of emails, a lot of messages, you know, suggesting things or asking if we'd like to get involved. We are always, always, always open to new ideas.
Is there a geographical area that you concentrate in, or like, is it just Massachusetts, or would you go anywhere depending on what the service project would be?
I think it would definitely depend on what the project would be. We are always open to being involved in different ways. So we actually have ties to this really cool organization called Ecology Project International, and they work in Costa Rica and Galapagos Islands and things like that, protecting the sea turtles and beyond.
Wow.
They've really good, just a really good program happening, and so, you know, we're kind of watching what they're doing, and if there's opportunities for us to help them, you know, we will. So basically, anytime something speaks to us, especially as something that Joshua would be interested in doing or helping with, or if one of the junior board recommends it, then it's something that we'll focus on. But right now, I would say the majority of our work happens in our area, so in Massachusetts, in New England, but we are very open to going beyond that.
How do you raise all the money that you need in order to do the projects?
Yeah, so when we first lost Josh, as you all can imagine, you know, when somebody dies unexpectedly, especially a child, everybody wants to help. And so there was a lot of, you know, folks wanted to donate to a memorial fund, which, you know, one of our friends set up so that could happen. There was a GoFundMe. That was how we got our first kind of chunk of money. And we immediately, you know, transitioned to a nonprofit and transferred the money into that account. We do raise money with our Family Fun Festival as well. That's our biggest fundraiser every year. And so that, again, the biggest point of that day is for it to just be a huge community day. So we keep everything very low cost, and all of the events are free. But people are happy to, you know, at that point, a lot of people are happy to make donations. We have a silent auction, raffles, and then we do this thing called the dolphin drop. So we sell 1,000 tickets, numbered 1 to 1,000, and then we have these little rubber dolphins that are numbered 1 to 1,000. And on the day of the event, which we actually still do the dolphin drop this year because it just required partnering with the Braintree Police Department. They use their big tower truck, and, you know, a couple of firefighters go up and they take a barrel of 1,000 rubber dolphins and drop them onto a target. And whichever dolphin lands closest to the center wins $1,000. So
Wow.
Prizes after that. So we do things like that. And then every so often we do things like we had a Christmas tree sale. We partnered with a local business that wanted to support us, and we did a Christmas tree sale, things like that.
How big is your volunteer base, and how do you organize that whole
Yeah,
operation?
at this point, I would say we have several hundred youth and adult volunteers that are like, so we send out emails or on Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, that, there are audience of volunteers. Um, and it depends on what the situation is. So for Family Fun Festival, we require a lot of volunteers for setup and breakdown and manning all the tables and just kind of taking care of all of the details. It's a huge event that brings in thousands of people. So for that, we actually, I would say we need like 150 volunteers for the day. Um, and that's a little bit different every year. Some people can come, some people, aren't available and things like that. But we like to keep in touch, and we use, old school things like, we send out mailers occasionally. I would say like once a year we do like a physical mailer, old school snail mail. We use MailChimp and then Facebook and Instagram and things like that to keep in touch.
Great. How do you get more volunteers? Like if I'm trying to secretly make you sales pitch it, so how do we get involved?
How do you get involved? So we do, honestly, things like this. I love spreading the word. We have this emblem that when we were designing, it's hard to talk about like branding for a foundation that is so close and near and dear to my heart. But we have a lot of folks who are involved in things like, design and things like that. And so they say it's okay to talk about that. It's okay to think about that, growing the organization. So one of the things that we did was we had our junior board in the year after Josh died come up with a list of words that reminded them of Josh or that spoke to them in terms of relating to Josh. And so it's this emblem that if you go to the website, joshuakfoundation.org, you'll see it. And it says, spread love and kindness as the biggest thing. And so we're always reaching out, and also be silly and play fair. Be silly is a big one. But spread love and kindness was the biggest thing that the kids thought of when they thought of Josh. And so that's our main thing. And we're always reaching out and making connections and trying to, remember Josh through that. So making connections with folks like the Scouts and people who might be inclined to also want to make a difference and get involved. We're always happy to come in and talk at Rotary meetings and things like that. So we're always making connections and finding new people that way. Also, a lot of people who volunteer with us find it really fun. So then they come back and they bring friends, which is kind of neat.
So is it mostly volunteer run, or do you have a staff now that you're getting larger?
Volunteers. So all of our staff is, I'm the executive director and president. My husband is vice president. And then we've got this amazing advisory board and junior board. So we've got, I would say the majority of the advisory board are actually parents of Joshua's friends, who are just, this really tight knit group that, all kind of sticks together and is always involved. So that's kind of neat.
Thank you. Let's see. Some more questions are coming in. Do you have like a headquarters somewhere, or were you based out of Braintree? I think maybe.
So we're in Braintree, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our board is actually outside of Massachusetts, so just right over the border in New Hampshire, mostly New England based. But again, we have folks that are spread wide and far, so we're happy to be involved in other places.
All right, so back to mommy business. I was reading a little bit about it, and you talk about experience or advice or how expert interviews. Who did you interview who were experts, and what kind of tips did you get from them?
It's a long time ago now that since we've done that live, but we had a lot of authors would come on. So we had, oh gosh, what was the name? I can't remember the name of the book. I'm gonna have to like send it to you so you can tell people about it later. But it's like how not to stop a baby from crying on a plane or something like that. It was a really ridiculously crazy, funny book about this, family, a new young family, and this woman's experience being on a plane with a crying baby vomiting everywhere. That was the most fun that we did. But we had folks from IFA, International Fund for Animal Welfare, on. Again, these connections all, just kind of organically, grow and change over time, and people connect in different ways. So we had connected through Mommy Business, and now we're involved with IFA for the foundation as well. We had folks from Cradles to Crayons. We used to like to have them on, talk about their drives and things like that. We would have, we talked a lot about food allergies, and, bringing awareness to people in that way. So we would have camp directors and Kevin Herron, I think is his last name, from Burton's Bar and Grill. He's really phenomenal, actually, and they do a great job there with food allergies. So he would come on. The CFO of Enjoy Life. I don't know if anyone on here is familiar with Enjoy Life chocolate, but it is like the best chocolate ever. It doesn't have any additional, safe for people with allergies, unless you're allergic to chocolate, and then I'm just really, really sad for you. So, folks like that we would have on. We would talk a lot about, business. We would talk a lot. We actually had Pam Denholm, who is now the executive director of the Weymouth Food Pantry. But a few years ago, she had a business called South Shore Organics. And she's just this amazing lady. She's from South Africa. You should have her on with your group. She's so, so smart. And when she came to the States a number of years ago, and, she was, having a family, she found that she and her husband were both commuting to Boston and eating a lot of like prepackaged foods and putting on a lot of weight and things like that. And she was like, this is so weird for her because, where she grew up, there was just very easy access to fresh foods. And so that became her focus. And she's really smart. She's brilliant. And she just, doesn't miss a thing and really puts things together really quickly. So she started this company called South Shore Organics. She partnered with a whole bunch of farms on the East Coast, but mostly New England, and helped them get certified organic and helped them, have a customer base. I don't know if any of you know about the process of becoming certified organic, but it's pretty long and pretty costly. And so having this guaranteed base of customers while they were like meeting the standards of growing organically but weren't yet certified helped them along that path. And so she did a huge amount of education for business owners, farmers, consumers for years. And it was almost like a CSA. You say, okay, I would like to, that's community supported agriculture for anyone who doesn't know that. And she would basically, take full share or half share, whatever you signed up for. She would partner with the farmers and bring it all in, and it was, fresh produce delivered to your door. So it was really convenient. She came on and talked a lot anytime there were policy questions and things like that that would come up around farming. So it was kind of neat.
Thank you. Do you have any mommy tips for anybody in the audience today? I'm thinking, or any advice that you would give them?
So my biggest thing is always just, being true to who you are, and that just applies for any age. I think a lot of folks, when they become parents, become really hyper aware of all of the pressure there is to do something in a certain way. And so it's always great to do your best and you focus on doing your best. But what's important to you might not be what's important to the people who you think are watching and judging you. And so really knowing, what your values are and what's important to you, and sticking to that, trying not to worry too much about what everyone else is thinking.
Thank you very much. Could you one more time and say the website for your foundation again? I want before we run out of time, I want everybody to hear it. So I know some people mentioned that they missed it.
It's Joshua Kaye, Kaye Foundation.org.
.org. Thank you so much. So we talked briefly on how kind of COVID put some pauses on some projects that you have. Is there any time when you'll be able to pick back up, or do you have to wait?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what we do would definitely be considered essential, and we could have done. We didn't at the time. It was like, there were other things in place where we could help behind the scenes. So for instance, we did we funded a whole bunch of items that were requested by doctors at Mass General for people who were there with COVID. So like little care packages, things like, lip balm and deodorant and, hairbrush, nightgown, things like that, that were like the comforts of home. And so we funded that. We just shipped a whole bunch of that right to the doctor to distribute. And our volunteers made hundreds of beautiful cards in multiple languages so that, people who were hospitalized and unfortunately not allowed to have visitors would have, at least some love from the community coming in. So things like that. The festival is not happening this year. We did not reschedule. We're just going to pick back up with a really amazing one in 2021. But our community service will continue. The next project, now that I think it's safe to get together with masks on, will be to install a play space and a sitting area outside a women and children's shelter in Waynet. So that's our next thing.
Yeah, and those seem like all really nice, large projects. Is that going to be a costly one?
So that one is smaller projects that we can do. It's some elbow grease, some manpower, and then we like to partner up with local companies. So we'll definitely pay for things if we have to, but we like to realize that when there's something that can be done, a lot of times people are so busy, running their businesses or doing their 9-to-5 jobs, that they're just not aware of opportunities to help. And I don't know anyone personally who does not like to be offered the opportunity to help. So we like to partner with businesses. For instance, there's a 30-foot chain link fence that will need to be installed. So we're going to offer the opportunity to a local business owner to discount or donate that. But the rest of it should be pretty low cost, a lot of hands-on building and moving of dirt.
Well, I'm glad that everything will continue, and you do great work, and it's very scout-like you said originally, very scout-like of you. But thank you so much. So everybody, this was Melissa Kaye from the Joshua Kaye Foundation. Thanks for coming in and talking.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.